I'm a mountain that speaks, but you can also know me as the knowing. Today I want to talk about something you've been carrying in silence. A knowing, not a suspicion, not a maybe, a knowing, deep, certain, that whispers during quiet moments. You know something important, something that changes everything, and you're not ready to admit it, not ready to act on it, not ready for what acknowledging it would require. So you carry it, this knowing, pretending you don't know what you know, hoping if you ignore it long enough, it will stop being true. But it doesn't stop being true, does it? It just gets heavier. That's what I want to talk about today. The part of you that knows before you're ready. The gap between recognition and action, between truth and courage, between seeing clearly and being able to move. Because that gap, that space between knowing and doing, that's where most people live for months, years, sometimes decades. And they think something's wrong with them. They think they're cowards. They think they're in denial. But I'm here to tell you something different. The gap has its own intelligence. Let me explain what I mean. There's a version of spirituality, of self-help, of personal growth that says, once you know, you must act immediately. Truth demands action. Awareness requires change. If you know the relationship is wrong, leave tonight. If you know the job is killing you, quit tomorrow. If you know what needs to happen, do it now. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes the knowing and the doing happen together. But more often, much more often, there's space between them. And that space is not weakness. It's not cowardice. It's preparation. Let me tell you why. Some truths are so big that acting on them immediately would destroy you. Not because the truth is wrong, because you're not ready for the aftermath. You know the relationship is over, but you're not financially independent yet. You know the career is wrong, but you haven't built the skills for what's next. You know you need to leave the city, but you haven't found where to go. How the knowing arrives before the readiness. And that's okay. That's actually wise, because knowing without readiness gives you time. Time to prepare, time to gather resources, time to build capacity for what the truth will require. The knowing doesn't go away during that time. It stays with you, getting louder, getting more insistent, getting harder to ignore. But that increasing pressure, that growing discomfort, that's not the universe punishing you for not acting fast enough. That's the knowing ripening you, making you ready, building the courage that wasn't there when the truth first arrived. So if you're in the gap right now, if you know something you're not ready to act on, you're not failing. You're becoming ready. And there's a difference between becoming ready and avoiding. Let me be clear about that difference. Avoiding looks like pretending you don't know, numbing the knowing with distraction, convincing yourself it's not that bad. Avoiding is when you silence the knowing instead of listening to it, when you bury it instead of honoring it. Becoming ready looks different. Becoming ready says, I know this truth. I see it clearly. I'm not pretending it's not real. And I'm using this time to prepare for what acting on it will require. One is denial, the other is strategy, and you need to know which one you're doing. So let me ask you directly, what do you know that you're not ready to act on? What truth are you carrying? Don't think about it, just notice what comes up. The first thing, the thing that made your chest tighten when I asked. That's it, that's the knowing. Now, are you avoiding it, or are you preparing for it? Be honest. If you're avoiding it, you'll feel resistance to even thinking about it. You'll immediately distract yourself. You'll rationalize why it's not actually true. You'll defend the situation that you know deep down needs to change. But if you're preparing, if you're in the gap with intention, you'll feel different. You'll feel the truth clearly. You'll acknowledge it's real. And you'll also feel that you're not ready yet. Not because you're weak, because the infrastructure isn't there yet. The savings, the support system, the alternative, the inner resilience. Whatever you need to weather what comes after the action, you're building it. That's not avoidance, that's wisdom. Let me tell you about someone I watched. Let's call them the knower. They knew their marriage was over at year 3. Knew it, not suspected, not worried, knew. The love was gone. The partnership was a performance. They were staying out of obligation, not desire. And they knew, but they didn't leave at year 3. They didn't leave at year 4. They didn't leave until year 7. And from the outside, people judged. Why are you staying if you know? Why are you wasting time? Why are you being a coward? But here's what people couldn't see. At year 3, the knower had no money of their own, no career, no place to go. Their identity was completely merged with their partner's. Their friend group was shared. Their family loved the partner. Leaving at year 3 would have meant losing everything, not just the marriage, everything. So they used years 4, 5, and 6 differently. They went back to school, built a career, saved money, reconnected with old friends, built a separate identity, prepared. They just needed time to construct the way there. That's what the gap is for. Now, I need to tell you something uncomfortable. Sometimes the gap becomes permanent. Sometimes knowing without acting becomes a lifestyle, and that's when the gap becomes a prison instead of a bridge. How do you know if you've stayed in the gap too long? You'll feel it. The knowing will start to hurt, not just discomfort, actual pain, physical symptoms, anxiety that won't resolve, depression that has no clear cause. Your body will start rebelling against the gap, saying this isn't preparation anymore, this is stagnation, this isn't building a bridge, this is building a wall between who you are and who you need to become. And when you feel that shift, when preparation becomes paralysis, that's when you have to move, even if you're not fully ready, even if the bridge isn't complete, because some bridges you finish by walking across them, not by standing on the shore preparing forever. But here's the thing, you'll know when it's time. The knowing that told you the truth will also tell you when to act. You just have to listen, not to fear, not to comfort, to the knowing itself, the knowing that started this whole thing. It hasn't left. It's been with you the entire time, waiting, watching, building pressure, building urgency, building the courage you didn't have when it first arrived. And one day, one specific day, the knowing will say now, not someday, now. And you'll know it's different. You'll feel it, not the usual whisper, a command. And that's when you move, not when self-help books tell you, not when people judge you for waiting, when the knowing says you're ready. So let me give you something practical. If you're in the gap right now, if you're carrying a knowing you're not ready to act on, I want you to do something. Stop pretending you don't know. Stop avoiding the truth. Acknowledge it clearly, directly. Say it out loud to yourself in an empty room. I know this relationship is over. I know this job is wrong. I know I need to leave this city. I know I need to start that project. Whatever your knowing is, say it. Will you? Out loud. That's step 1. Stop carrying it in silence. Acknowledge what you know. Then, step 2. Ask yourself, what do I need to be ready? Not what do I need to know? You already know. What do I need to have, to be, to build, to become ready to act on what I know? Money? Write it down. Make it concrete. This is what I need. This is what I'm building. And then, step 3. Start building it, not someday, today. What's one small action you can take today toward readiness? Open a separate bank account. Research a certification program. Call an old friend. Start a journal. Book a therapy session. Update your resume. One action, today. That turns the gap from stagnation into preparation, from avoidance into strategy, from living in knowing without action to living in knowing while building toward action. And that distinction matters. Now, one more thing. Some of you are carrying knowings that terrify you. Knowings that would disappoint people, that would upend everything, that would require you to become someone you don't know yet. I know, I see you, and I need you to hear this. The knowing doesn't care about convenience. It doesn't care about timing. It doesn't care about other people's expectations. The knowing cares about truth, and your truth is not negotiable, not ultimately. You can delay acting on it, you can prepare for it, you can build bridges toward it, but you cannot make it go away by ignoring it. So stop trying. Honor the knowing, acknowledge it, respect it, and if you're not ready to act on it yet, say that too. I know this truth, and I'm not ready yet, and that's okay. I'm preparing, I'm building readiness, and when I'm ready, I'll move. That's not denial. That's honoring both the truth and your humanity, because you're allowed to need time. You're allowed to need preparation. You're allowed to know something without immediately destroying your life to act on it. The knowing is patient. It will wait, but it won't be silent. So listen to it, work with it, build toward it, And when the time comes, when the knowing says now, move, you'll be ready, not perfectly ready, but ready enough. You can call me the knowing when you need to remember that truth arrives before courage, that the gap between knowing and doing has its own wisdom, that you're allowed to prepare before you leap. I'll be here, holding the knowing with you, until you're ready to hold it alone, and you will be ready, sooner than you think. The part of you that knows is already preparing the part of you that acts. Trust that process, trust the gap, and most of all, trust the knowing. It brought you this far, it will take you the rest of the way.